Okay, so here we are. Scale and placement. Again, this first line, which is going to represent this corner of the box. Okay, let me move this out of the way. That's going to represent that corner of the box. Okay, is going to be scale and placement. So I can put it really anywhere on my page, and I can make it any size. All right, and that's important. Okay, I'm working on this small piece of paper, but you guys will be on your big piece of paper. But this is just an easy way to do it on my lap to show you guys. All right, so that's my first line. Represents the corner of the box and shows, and I can make it any size, but it certainly determines the scale and placement of the box. Okay, now find eye level. Okay, or / horizon line, because it means the same thing. And that basically is your eyes in relationship to the box. Okay. Now, if you notice where I'm sitting, I have a reflective painting behind me, and there's my head. And in that head is my eyes. I also, if you notice, have a Post-it note, which if you don't have a nice reflective surface behind you, you can simply bring your chair up to the wall that's behind what you're drawing, put a Post-it note on the wall with a little mark that is your eyes. Okay, so either way. Now, what I'm going to do is the first technique that I'm going to show you. These are different techniques to help you draw things correctly in space. Okay, it's like tools in the toolbox. Goes hand in hand with observation. Okay, so this first technique is called measuring. All right, and what you're going to do is you're going to take the tip of your pencil, okay, and you are going to line it up with the corner of the box, okay, and I'm going to slide my thumb down to mark the bottom of the corner of the box, okay. Now I'm going to hold this, and I'm going to stack it up until I hit my eyes. So I go 1, 2, a little less than 3. Okay, and then I hit my eyes. It's important when you do this technique that you have a straight elbow. Very important. The distance between your arms straight is consistent. But if you crook your elbow, it's very inconsistent and can mess up your measuring. So straight elbow. All right, now I come back down to my sheet of paper. All right, and I come to my mark. And now I go 1, 2, and a little less than 3 puts me pretty much at the very, very tippy top of my paper, okay? So, and that's fine. So that's going to be my horizon line is going to be right up there at the top of my paper, all right? So that's my horizon line, all right? And that line represents my eyes in relationship to the box. You can totally draw boxes without horizon line being noted on your paper, okay? But I like it as a step in the exercise to just help you always be aware of where your eyes are in relationship to the box. It's a good step to go through, and sometimes will help you draw your box more accurately, okay? So there we are there. All right, now we're gonna sight the 2 angles coming from the corner of the box. Now, measuring was one technique that I showed you. Sighting is going to be another one. And these are physical techniques using your pencil, or you can, sometimes artists use like a straight stick. But a pencil, I like to use a pencil, especially in drawing class, because it's something you're always going to have with you, right? If you're drawing, you got a pencil. So it's an easy thing to do. So this is called sighting. And when I show you the other video, you'll get more the sense physically of how it works. But I'm going to show how it should look behind your eyes, okay, in this video. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your pencil, and it's very important that the pencil does not go back in space, but it stays flat. They also call this the imaginary clock because the clock moves in a rotation fashion that is 2-dimensional. And that's basically what you're doing is here's this 2-dimensional world, and you're trying to translate this 2-dimensional world this is your 3-dimensional world, and you're trying to translate this 3-dimensional world onto your 2-dimensional page, okay? So here we go. We got your pencil. We're trying to keep it flat, and we're bringing it down along the box as it moves down in space, okay? Then in one motion, you hinge your hand and it goes down to your paper, okay? That's kind of the idea. Now this is where you can take another pencil and draw your line and trace that line. I have only done this about 3,000 times, so I feel pretty comfortable lifting up my pencil and drawing it, okay? But you definitely at the beginning might want 2 pencils. And here's what I always do, always, is double check. So I do that, and I bring it down again. And actually, I'm flatter than the first line, probably because I did a lot of chit-chatting in between. Okay, so I prefer that line, so I'm going to erase my first line here. Oh, man, I got a really bad eraser, which I did not realize, but we're going to go with that. Okay, erase that first line. That's not there. I'll even just cross it out for now. Okay, so here's my line in my box as it goes back in space. Okay, so now I'm going to do the same to the other side. So we have to angle the sight. This is called sighting. The other technique is called measuring. Now, if you notice, I'm not doing them at the same time. I'm not measuring, okay, and sighting together. Sighting, you want to extend that angle out, okay? Because sometimes you have a very little angle to work with, and sighting allows, using the whole pencil, allows you to extend it out. Also notice when I'm sighting, see how my pencil, I'm pinching the pencil, so that way when I bring it down to the page, my hand is not in the way. If you hold the pencil like this, you bring it down, oh, now my hand's in the way, I gotta move my hand out of the way, and then it's gonna totally mess up your angle, okay? So you pinch the pencil, all right? You don't go back in space, all right? You sight the angle, and you bring it straight down to your paper, all right? Like a hinge, like you hinge your arm, all right? Now I'm gonna draw that angle. And just like before, I'm going to double check. Sorry if this is making you dizzy. Apologize. All right. And again, I don't like my angle. Again, I think it's because I'm trying to do this and hold the camera, which is, I can't say I've ever done that before, but makes it interesting. Okay. So I sort of redrew my angles and corrected them, which is fine. All right. Don't feel like you gotta, it's going to be a learning curve on this one. Okay. So now, see if either hits the horizon line. This is where it's very advantageous to have a nice big sheet of paper, which I don't have because I have to keep it on my lap. But basically, you can take your ruler and extend out this angle, okay? And here's my horizon up here. And if they ever meet in the distance, okay, at some point in the future, okay, these two would meet, you know, way out in the distance somewhere. I don't want to show my messy room, but here, way out in the distance, that's a point, okay? That is called a vanishing point. And then it makes it very easy to complete the rest of your drawing because you simply then will have the bottom go to the vanishing point, this bottom line, and then when eventually put the top, that'll go to the vanishing point if you remember, if you recall from your imaginary boxes, okay? But you can see because I'm working on a bigger scale and a small sheet of paper, neither of these lines are going to meet, you know, on that horizon line. Okay, but they could have. All right. So see if any hits your horizon line. Step 5. Nope, they don't. Now we're going to draw the other 2 angles. Now how I'm going to draw these other 2 angles is parallel, slightly converging. All right, so I'm going to grab my ruler here real quick. Okay, sorry about that. All right, so we're going to draw this parallel, slightly converging. So how does this work? Well, I have my ruler here. Let's say here's my one line, okay? Here's my angle that I liked, okay? And if we say that this is parallel, well, what we're going to do is slightly converging. So we're going to nudge it up a little bit. And the idea is it should look like this line and this line will meet this line all together at the vanishing point. So this is a little bit where you have to draw. If you can't plot the point, you have to draw, okay? So I'm going to do parallel, slightly converging. Okay, so I'm going to draw it something like this, all right? Same thing over there. If this is your line, here's parallel, we're going to just nudge it up a little bit, slightly converging, okay? All right. All right, so you can see that. I'm going to draw this a little bit better because it doesn't meet at my, I didn't misdrew that, so it wasn't at the corner, but I know I don't have a third hand to hold my ruler, so I knew that was going to happen. There we go. So here's my line. Okay, so there we go. All right, so now it's starting to look like a box, kind of like our imaginary box did, okay? So now, measure the width of the box, okay? This is back to measuring. So we come back to our box, all right? So measuring again. All right, I come to the corner of the box. And again, this is my reference line. This is like my unit measurement of which all the rest of the box is built off of. So I'm going to take that measurement again. I'm going to hold it, and I'm going to turn my wrist to the side, okay? And I'm going to determine that it is a little wider, okay? It's a little wider. Not much, almost the same size, but it is a smidgen wider. So what does that mean? I come back to my drawing. I take my measurement here, okay? And I'm going to hold it, and I'm going to turn my wrist, okay? And it's going to be a little bit bigger, okay? So here's my measurement, a little bit bigger. Again, this is nice if I didn't have to hold the phone. But there we go. So that's, and I can double check that, see how I did. Take the measurement, just because normally I'd have another hand. And it's a smidgen bigger. Perfect. All right, so now I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. So I come back to my measurement here. Okay, hold it. Compare it to that side. And that one is a little smaller, substantially smaller, maybe like 4/5 of the whole, something like that, okay? So I come back to here, and I'm going to say it's something like this big, all right? I would say, all right? So again, I take that measurement, okay, and I make that mark on my paper. That's about where it was. And again, 2 pencils can be handy here, so you can leave that. Now, I've drawn my box, all right? These should be straight up and down, okay? This is where a ruler can come in handy, and a triangle. Because the triangle, you can make it square off the bottom, okay? Or off the side, because that's going to be 90 degrees, and extend up with your ruler to make sure some of these lines are straighter. My boxes usually aren't quite this messy. Again, it's hard because I'm holding the phone as I'm doing this. So, but I'm thinking you get the general idea. Now, finally, step 8, draw the top of the box, parallel, slightly converging to the other side. What does that mean? Well, remember how we could finish drawing our imaginary boxes? Okay, so we have to go from this point. If this is parallel, we got to make it slightly converging. Okay, so again, it should look like this line, and this line are all going to meet somewhere out in space at my eye level line. Okay, all right. So here I go. Try to draw this without having the ruler move on me. There we go. All right, so there's that line. Good. Okay, so now I'm going to do it to the other side. Parallel, slightly converging. Again, if you were able to plot the point, you simply line up the ruler to the point and have them all go. Okay, but we weren't able to plot the point. Okay, so here we go. Parallel, slightly converging on this one too. There we go. So here is our box, all right? And it should look somewhat like maybe a messier version, again, because of the one-handed thing. But in general, that's my box, okay? All righty. And next time we're going to do, the next video we will be doing 1 point. So let me pause this.